didn't bring back the sheet yet.
She was interrupted.
Is they work with Legos like K&1. And then for 3 through 5, I have different types of worksheets for them to do with code.org. Are we good? Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, cool beans.
Yes.
All right. Next thing is classroom setup. So location, location, location. These are my first graders. So for first grade, notice that I have kids that are against the wall. So I try to arrange the classroom so that I can easily monitor the students and their devices, and also in a sense to like minimize distractions that happen in the class. So with the first graders, they were actually just working in a couple of different stations that they were doing. So the kids on the wall were working on their typing skills, and then these students were my coders for the day. They're working with the B-bots. And then I have the students over here that are my little engineers working with the Legos. So I'll try to collaborate with the teachers on different things that they're doing in class. So this first grade teacher was telling me about sight words and having them work on that. So this was just a small activity where the kids were using the sight words that they had, and I would tell them, okay, I want you to code the B-bot to go to the word go, or code the B-bot to go to the word up, so on and so forth. So then they would do it for me maybe once or twice, and then I allow them to code it however they want to for the rest of the time. They really enjoy it. We only have 3 B-bots, so it works out pretty good, so it doesn't get too crazy. And I keep track of it by just using a roll sheet, so I know exactly who was in the coding station last week, who was in the engineering, and then the typing. And if I don't remember, they remember for me. So that's the classroom setup in general. And I always have up, once we get started, Class Dojo, and a timer is efficient for everything. These are my 4th graders. So same thing. I tried to appease them. For instance, notice that all the girls are sitting in one section and all the boys are back here, because the girls want to sit with the girls and the boys want to sit with the boys. So I try to make sure that they're comfortable in the class. And then of course I have my friends who either get moved here to these sections, or sometimes they just want to sit on the carpet or want to be by themselves. So classroom setup is another important thing for blended learning environment. Next, set expectations. So at the beginning of class, this is what's on the board when they come in. So I'll go over the standards, learning target, learning activity, and I let them know who's going to be in the typing station, who's going to be Legos, who's going to be coding. And then once they learn about that, we do that for 3 to 5 minutes, then they get into their stations. For K&1, they stay in those stations for the entire class. For 2 through 5, I usually change up the stations a little bit. And our classes are 45 minutes. So this is a 5th grade, a dashboard that I have. So again, standards, learning target, learning activity. We always, for 2nd through 5th, I always start with some form of typing at the beginning of class. So they may work on typing.com, they may do Typing Pal, whatever it may be for that day. And then we go into whatever the skill is that we're learning for that week. So that this week it was designing a design skill where they were creating a Google form. They made a Google form based upon something that they like. For instance, what's your favorite video game? And then they use the tool on Google Form to make multiple choice question about Fortnite, whatever, all the video games that they like. Another student might have been, what's your favorite ice cream? And then they listed all the ice creams. So they took that Google form that they created, copied the link, and they pasted the link into Verge so that their friends could take their survey. And then we talked about the results in the next class. Another thing is making sure that you keep track of time. Dear Lord knows that I am guilty of not keeping track of time. But I use these different tools to help me do that. Class Dojo works well because I can do it from my phone, or just the flat panel itself has the tool where you can use the timer. And then the last thing, of course, is always reflecting on your learning. I think this may have been some 2nd graders that were working on coding websites. And then at the end of class, I made one on Verge, a coding survey asking them which one do you prefer. The majority of them preferred Codable over code.org. So that's one way we can reflect on learning. Another simple way is just that helps me out is if I call them by name. So Tobias, you did your Google form, you may line up. Mara, you did your Google form, you linked it on Verge, you may line up. Just to help me make sure who did what before they leave class. So we could do a Kahoot it, we could do all types of formative assessments, but these are just two tools that I use in my class. Along with being the computer literacy teacher for McClendon, I also started teaching a writing class for gifted students. So it's just a small class of 12. So on Verge, I created a group for those students and those students only who can work on all the assignments, all the tests, anything that I put on there, they know that it's going to be on Verge. So when they come to my class, I tell them, log in, go to Verge. One assignment that they had was writing an essay about school lunches. So I gave them 2 articles that were discussing school lunch guidelines. Have they helped or are they more harmful? So we, in a sense, did the essay. The kids wrote their essay. And then after they wrote their essay, they were able to make a video on Verge, kind of like Flipgrid. So we have utilized that tool as well. So I first gave them information about the project, and that's just me talking. I can show this to you later. And then the kids themselves created their Flipgrid stating how they felt about school lunch guidelines. Along with their video, they had to type it on Verge. And I also had them use the feature of peer assessing each other on Verge, reading each other's essays and then grading it, saying, oh, you did good with this, but you didn't have any evidence for that, so on and so forth. So all those tools are pretty handy dandy that we've used in Verge so far. So just to review, things that are essential for me: classroom guidelines, making sure you go over that the first week, well, really the first month, because depending on how many classes you have. Classroom setup, set expectations, keep track of time, and to reflect on learning. That's it for me.
Any questions, guys?
Wow.
I have one.
Okay.
Hey, I was noticing that you use Codable. Did you get a subscription to that? Because I know I talked to them, and they were just a little bit on the expensive side, but they do offer a lot of opportunities for K through 5.
They do. We didn't get the subscription yet, but I'm looking into that. I actually put in a donor's choose for that
Right.
because the kids liked it so much, because they use the freebie one, and then once you're in the freebie and then it ends, and they tell you, okay, now upgrade. So they've gotten to the point where they want the actual, the one that they have to pay for. So as of right now, my donor's choose hasn't been fulfilled yet, but I'm hoping that it will.
Yeah, I agree, because it looks like a good one. I've used it through the code.org and
Yeah.
talked to the woman who started it, and the things that you can do with it are great, but it's just expensive.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Toya, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, are there any other questions?
I like how you emphasize the use of Verge with your tool. So basically what you did was take the layout that's required for a virtual learning activity and kind of used it daily in your instruction.
Correct.
I think this will be a perfect course to teach at our summer PL, because you are hitting all of the things that we're trying to get the traditional classroom teachers to do.
Yeah.
A great PL, simple. You're teaching all of these skills, and it's straight to the point. And it's something that you can continuously use over and over again. So great job, Toya.
I
Thank
don't
you.
have a question, but just a glow. I think that's awesome. I didn't think about how you use the tool for the polling as far as like informal observation when we teach, like, for example, two different ways to do double digit multiplication. We
Yes.
teach them partial product and standard algorithm.
Uh-huh.
I didn't think about that. You could ask them, you know, which one do you like better? Which one do you prefer? Which one's easier for you? So I think that was really neat.
Yeah, that's a great tool. I mean, I use the polling more than that. I couldn't find all of my examples, so I just put that simple one in, but I do use that Verge polling tool often, not only for just that, but just asking them questions about um if we did the Google form, is that something that you want to do again, yes or no? And if no, then you can explain to me later why. So I'll use that, or I'll use the overview, like the bulletin on Verge, asking them that question, and then they will respond to me and tell me yes or no, and then they give me an explanation of why.
That's awesome.
I had a question.
Hmm.
I wanted to know about how you assess or share the engineering part of the classroom setup, because I saw how you did the bebops and the writing part, but do they actually get to share like what they built in the Lego section?
Yeah, so towards the end of class, and it also depends upon how many kids I have in the class that day. So for that day, let me see. That day, wrong one. Sorry. For that day, for that day, I only had two students who were in the engineering design process, engineering department at that day. So what I did is I work with those children individually. So those 5 children individually. So I went to the engineers and I said, okay, today I want you to build me something that has wheels. It has to have this amount of wheels. Like, I'll give them certain constraints, but you can only use this amount of blocks, and it has to be able to hold this amount of weight. And so towards the end of class, if they're able to do that, then they'll show it to the class. They'll go around. They like to walk around. They'll go around and they'll walk around and show the kids, this is what I built. And then they name it something. They give it some kind of crazy name, the Fortnite mystery, or Jaquana's favorite Jaquana's favorite car. You know, they just come up with all kind of names. So for the ones that I'm working with individually, that's mostly because the teachers, I collaborate with the teachers, and they're asking me, Toya, you know, this girl doesn't really know what geometric shapes are. Can you help me with this, so on and so forth? So I just keep track of that with a roll sheet that I have, and I know exactly who I worked with that week, and then I just go from there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And the cool thing about that, guys, is with instructional technology, it's really about the instruction. And then you just add the technology in as you go. Notice how she worked with the classroom teacher in order to identify those skills that are needed. That's one of the most important things that instructional technology specialists do, or technology teachers need to do in order to have the students make a connection to the activity or the skill that you're teaching. So.
And Terry, I wanted to chime in that one of the things I did as a technology teacher was I would use SLDS, right? Because we're able to access the student scores, you know, on their during their previous year. And so what I would do is during test season, I would design some test prep assignments, and we would do those as our bell ringers, but they would be directly related to the data of the students that they had, you know, demonstrated in the previous school year. So that was a great way to connect with the teachers and the students and the parents as well, to be able to say, you know, I'm making sure to address the things that, you know, that your student needs.
I love that. All about the data. I love that.
Any other questions, guys?
I have a quick question. This is Joy. It was something I want to make sure I understand what you did. Can you go back to the slide where you showed the Verge assignment, the standard, the
Learning target.
learning target, and then the learning activity? Okay. Yes. So then let's log into their Chromebook. Okay. Okay, so identified trends and forecast possibilities. So that's what the standard was.
Yeah, the standard was creativity and innovation, and so under that standard, they were working on the different activities that go along with that. So they were
Right.
constructing knowledge and developing innovative products, and also processing using technology.
Processing using technology. Okay, so can you go to the next slide where they, I think it showed the typing. There we go. The typing.com and then the design skills. What, can you help me understand a little bit better what they were supposed to do with the Google form?
So they created a
Or what?
Google form on on a favorite topic for them. So for for some of the boys, it was, what's your favorite video game? So they made a Google form, in a sense, as a survey, so that they can send it to their
Okay.
friends, so that their friends could take their survey.
Okay, and then you collected, so they would post the survey in Verge.
Yes, they posted it on Verge. See, like for instance, I have right here, paste your Google form link here. So they had to copy their Google form and then
Oh,
paste it in
okay.
Verge so that all the kids could see it.
Gotcha. Okay. So where did you post this piece? Is that in your overview?
Yes, in the bulletin. Yes.
Okay, so you created the assignment under resources as a page under resources, but then on the
Yeah, I created it on overview, just like you said, and then on overview for bulletin. And so then I said, paste your Google link here, and then I put a picture, and then all the kids were able to see that picture, and then they just pasted their information there.
so on your resource page where the kids actually see the assignment and all the stuff that they're supposed to do, when they click on that, that takes them to this bulletin page?
It takes them to the bulletin page for overview. So let me show you. Hold on.
For overview.
Yeah. So here it is, overview. And so bulletin. So it's right here. Paste your Google form link here. And so these are all the kids. So I created it here.
Okay.
I didn't put it in resources. I just put it under overview.
And another
Right, but the page that they see with the assignment title, if you go back to the PowerPoint slide, or where it shows, it had the typing.com and then it had the Google form thing.
Yeah, that's my dashboard. That's the that's the page.
Okay, so I'm just trying to
them.
understand. I'm trying to understand layout here. So you created it on resources. This is a page though that you created in your resources, right?
Correct.
And so this design skills box, you're saying that was a picture, or is that an actual link that takes them to your bulletin?
No, that's just a picture. I can link it, but I can't link it.
Okay. All right. I was just trying to make sense of it.
Sure.
See how it's set up. Okay, and so then they're supposed to, so their standard is to analyze trends and data or whatever. So then they create the Google form. Mm-hmm. They're using the technology to analyze those trends, and then they have to, they actually have to look at the results, right?
Correct. So the first class, they created it, and then they had a couple of minutes left for them to for other students to answer their survey. Then the next time they came, they continued answering each other's surveys, and we started looking at the data. Okay, so what for yours? How many video games? Oh, so 64% of your kids, 64% of your friends,
gotcha.
Like so on and so forth.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Toya, can you tell what standards these are, just to help?
Well, I put it under creative communicator for design skills. So students communicate clearly and express themselves creatively for a variety of purposes or platforms or tools, because I figured that Google Forms was a type of tool that I wanted them to learn about. So I put it under creative communicator, because not only are they creating something, but they're able to look at the data and then see and understand what the data says.
So yeah, these are ISTE standards, right?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yes.
That's what I want you to say. I was trying to get you to say it without me saying it. Guys,
oh, sorry. Yeah, I tend to use the lingo of ITSD, like for ITSD, they have creative communicator and so on and so forth. And I also use that same lingo when I create, hold on, things in Clever. So with Clever, you can make a page. So the students know that they can go to my page, Ms. Bursa's technology class, and I try to use, empowered learner, digital citizen. So I'll tell them when you log on to Clever, and if you're going to Google Forms or whatever it may be, then they go to a certain one, depending on, because I want them to use that language. If we're making something, innovative designer, so on and so forth.
Cool. That looks good. Looks good. So guys,
I talk really fast because I do, we call them at my school dirty 30s, where we do like some type of, where I go over some type of tech tool. And so I tell the teachers it's going to be a dirty 30. I will only talk for 15, but I usually don't talk for 15. I usually talk for like 5. And then I help them do whatever they want to do with that tool, or then they can leave. So sorry if I'm talking too fast.
And guys, just to give you a little clue. So the ticks that we did this year for Ignite You, those 5 ticks, basically this is, I want to say this is tick 2 if I'm not mistaken, effective communication. We're going to have those same things that are required next year. So kind of looking at what Toya has done, you can take this idea and stretch it out for all of your technology integration connections and use these as PLs for your school this. So basically showing your teachers how to do these innovative practices. That's really the purpose of Fuse, trying to get teachers to understand how to further student engagement utilizing those technology resources that we have.
Any other questions?
I'm good, but thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Well, thank you, Toya, so much for hosting our virtual chat 3. And yeah, you did an awesome job. And shout out to our elementary teachers. We rock, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
But the last thing, guys, on May, I believe it's May 18th, that's Saturday, we're having our kind of our closeout to the Fuse Cohort 1. So for those of you that have just been awesome on the leaderboard and just participating in everything, come on out and show what it is that you've done. It's going to be laid back, fun, and very informative so that you can kind of know what to expect for this upcoming school year. If not, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.